Oh my goodness. Looks like we are coming on the live. Many of you folks who are pop up now. Well, I can do that. Where it can say audio is good, you can see all that stuff. If you're watching live, pop in, man. Put in a comment. Let's interact a little bit. I think this will be good. Now, it's Sunday, so you might be thinking, what is Kurt doing? Oh my goodness, he's going live on Sundays now. I've been working. This is a catch-up day for me. Church was awesome this morning. Man, my pastor, he just has a way of breaking things down. This last month or 6 weeks, they've been talking about Revelation, and I've studied the book before. I mean, but it's always so good to hear someone else's perspective or the etymology, right? So, where do these words come from? What does this mean? What do different theologians believe on this thing? And I'm not one of those that gets too wrapped up in the rapture or tribulation or pre-tribulation or any of that. I'm along for the ride. I'm along for the ride. Jesus is my savior. I don't need to know the story before it ends. Just take me. I'm up for a shortcut home whenever you call me, man. Whenever you call me. So anyway, church was great, and now it's Sunday. I'm playing this like a catch-up day. This is my wife works every other weekend, and so every other weekend I get to decide. Hey, am I gonna work my fanny off today, or am I gonna smoke a cigar and mow the lawn? Right? It's like, am I gonna chill or am I gonna work? And today I decided to do some work. I've already edited a bunch of video for a course that we're putting out. Very excited about the course. We built an e-learning website in an afternoon using 3 new tools. And I say 3 new tools. One tool is new, but the other 2 tools from the same plugin creator, we basically took a suite of their tools and made an e-learning site with it. And we made a course out of it, and then we made a video review of the 3 products, and we just put that up last night. So I was very excited to get that done and get that out there. Now, you hear me talking about all this stuff, and then you're probably thinking, hey, I see people coming in live, so I'm just going to say it again. If you're in here live, go ahead, put in a comment. Maybe I'll see the chat come through. It'd be awesome to see if this, Rumble chat actually works. But go ahead and put in we got. There's private messages, there's public messages, there's all messages. I'm going to go with all so I can see things coming in. But hey, put in like, hey, I'm George. I'm from Oklahoma. Like, it would be awesome. It would just be awesome. I do that with Lifter LMS quite a bit. And when we host the lives for Lifter LMS, man, we get people from Spain, a lot of people from Canada. We get a ton from Canada. But the UK, the Netherlands, Spain, Indonesia. We get people from all over the place that come to our calls on Thursdays with Lifter LMS. It's really fun. Anyway, I gave a talk on Friday. So I had made a deal with the Chamber of Commerce to host a couple of lunch and learns. And, big city boy from California moved to Hutchinson, Kansas. And we got into business pretty quickly here. That wasn't the plan. Just so you know, that was not the plan. The plan was, I'm going to keep my national accounts for Manana No Mas, and I might need to find a job. I might get a job. And then we got here, and opportunity was everywhere. Turns out that Hutchinson, Kansas is like this great little opportunity community. It's just the internet's fast. The cost of living is low. There's plenty of businesses here. I've really come to like it. So I started getting involved with some of the entrepreneur startup organizations and things that were going, like incubators and stuff like that were here in town. And I speak at the high school and the community college, and I spoke at City Hall, all about the perspective of owning an agency. And I've come to the conclusion that this is one of the best places in the country to run an agency. Again, low cost of living, super fast internet. Those are 2 things right there where you should be like, yeah, I'm here. But even things like, if you wanted to have an office, you wouldn't go broke having an office. You can get a building downtown for, $500, $600, $700, $800 a month. And before you go, ooh, that's a lot. Think about what it costs to get an office in California, $2,500, $3,500 a month. So in terms of finances, it's a very sound reason to be here. Now, all of that integration that I've done in the community since we've been here in the last 2 years has put me in a pretty good catbird seat to see what's going on with things. All right. So I made this agreement to speak for the Chamber of Commerce and to do a few lunch and learns. Now, a lunch and learn is about 90 minutes, right? From 11:30 to 1 o'clock. And this Friday, I gave a talk on the practical use of AI for business. The practical, let's focus on the title. The practical use of AI for business. Okay. So I'm not going to lie. You guys, if you follow me at all, you see me on different podcasts, and I'll say out loud, I use AI every day, but I'm not a big fan of it. I don't think the general public should be dilly-dallying around with some things. I think it's cool as a hobby, right? I think it's cool to like check something out, or hey, if you want to do it for a job, learn it, dive in, learn it. But when you see people dabble and then get false courage and then make very big mistakes through that false courage, that to me is a heartbreak. And so that was kind of the messaging I was going to go into this talk with. And I was a little intimidated, not going to lie, because I thought 5 or 6 people had signed up for the lunch and learn. Turned out they sold the room out with 12 people coming, and a couple others showed up that hadn't bought a ticket. And so they've got over 12 people in the room, right? This little presentation room in this Chamber of Commerce, which, by the way, was really, really nice. I am going to do everything I can to use that presentation room. That was nice. Plugged in the computer, everything works, sound, multiple screens. It was nice. It was really nice. And the people at the Chamber, they're just phenomenal people here in Hutchinson. So anyway, I go to give this talk, and now I've got a room full of people, and I've got workbooks for everybody. I made workbooks for everybody in attendance. I got a presentation that's up on the screen. I am not someone that reads the presentation. I engage with the group, and we ask questions, we have discussions, and I kind of share my thoughts. And my thoughts were the practical use of AI for business. And I kept stressing, well, that's for business. So I was like, hey, before we even really dive in, what are some people expecting to get out of this, and then so then it comes up, so I want to set the expectations for the room. And one lady says, well, I just want to see what's new. I want to see what you think is the best of the best. I want to see what you can teach me today about using AI at a higher level. And that's where the intimidation came in for me, because I kind of sensed that. I sensed that they were going to show up and they were going to be like, hey, you're the agency expert. Show us something we've never seen before. And that's not my goal. That's not my goal at all. My goal was to get them to slow down, to consider, to think about what they're doing with AI and the practical use of AI for business. So then I said, well, let's take a look at some things. And so my presentation was solid. The presentation on the screen behind me, it was solid, right? This is who I am. This is what I've done. Let's talk about what we're going to talk about. What are some of the problems that businesses face? What are some of the things that AI can help with those problems that businesses face? And then what are some of the pitfalls of AI and people that are supposed to be running businesses? And this is where I started to stress, if you have a business, wouldn't you like to just run your business? Wouldn't you like to just focus on the things that you're really proficient at and that you can create good margins on and create a living for you and your family? If you were a business, wouldn't you like to be able to focus on the business? So if you wanted to focus on what you were good at and focus at your business, did you really want to be a webmaster? Did you really want to be an AI specialist? Did you really want to be an IT expert? Did you really want to have to try and figure out all this other stuff? Like if you were somebody that was a painter, you're painting houses. Do you want to paint houses? Or do you want to be a social media expert to promote yourself painting houses? And that was interesting because that's where I started to make a connection then. I felt like people were starting to understand what I was saying. So then we went through some AI tools and we discussed how some AI tools work. And obviously people in the room had seen ChatGPT before. They'd experimented with ChatGPT. They'd experimented with Claude. They've experimented. Copilot is one of them. So a lot of them have Microsoft, and as a side plate with Microsoft, you get Copilot. Some people had Grok, right? And as a side plate with X, you get Grok if you have X Premium. And so we had those discussions about what it's like to try and get results using a standard chat generated tool like those. And when I say chat generated tool, I'm saying it's not pre-prompted at all. You have to prompt the whole thing. And so then we had activity engagement, right? So what level of success have you had in prompting things to happen? And then we had people. One guy was a lawyer, right? Ran a law office. Another guy ran a finance office. Two ladies were from a bank. One lady was from a retirement community. So did these people really want to become AI specialists? No, they want to run their business. They want to run their business. And like I said to the guy from the attorney's office, I said, when you're using massive language models in the legal space and you're trying to get assistance from AI, are you at all nervous that you might be putting information into the AI that shouldn't necessarily be public? And then, ooh, yeah, we think about that. Okay, so let's start to have a different conversation. Let's start to look at the practical use of AI for business. And we talked. I said, why do you try these tools? Are you watching influencers on YouTube? We want things to be easy, fast, and automatic. And these influencers on YouTube and other places, the commercials for AI, they say, oh, this is easy. This is fast. This is automatic. And it's anything but easy, fast, and automatic. For an expert, it might seem easy, but they had to go through the steps to become an expert to make it easy. It's like I'm pretty good at riding a mountain bike. And I take it for granted that when I am on trail and I'm coming up on a series of rocks or jumps or bumps or trees, I'm able to stay on my pedals and I'm able to get through those obstacles pretty quickly. But I might be riding with other people that bail off. They jump off the bike and they walk it through the rocks, or they walk over a route, or they're doing a climb and they're not in the right gear. So they can't get all the way up. Whereas I'm working all the gears. I start at the bottom of the hill in fifth or sixth gear, and by the time I get to the top of the hill, I might be in second or even first gear. But I get to the top of the hill and I'm still on my pedals. And they might look at me and go, "Oh, well, it's so easy for Kurt." It's not easy. I'm whooped. I'm wore out. I'm fat. I'm an old fat man. But I have a skill that I've developed riding the mountain bike. So to others that don't have the skill, they see it and they go, "Oh, it's easy for Kurt." Well, it's not easy. I've been riding bikes for a long time, and I grew those skills over time. It's like that with AI. We see experts and influencers online creating things, and we go, "Oh, it looks so easy. It looks so automatic. It looks so fast." And we go, "Oh, we got to do that. We got to do that. We got to do that." And then we try to do it, and then we fail horribly, and we get frustrated. And then we think it's our fault. So we either dive in and spend more time on it and continue to fail, or we bail out completely after having wasted time and gotten zero results. Which is why I think for the practical use of AI in business, we have to slow things down and we have to meter ourselves and we have to be very cognizant of how we're spending our time, because the most valuable thing we have in business is time. And we need to get the biggest return on investment that we can. So then, I asked the people in the room, I said, "Do you really enjoy using AI? Is it something you want to do? Are you passionate about it?" And there's one or two people in the room that are. I mean, Sarah, she's a lovely woman in our community, and she is totally bought in to anything that's tech, anything that's AI. She'll try any kind of new AI tool. She's on it. She's on it. But it's a passion for her. She wants to do that. The lady running the retirement center, she says she loves ChatGPT. ChatGPT was her bestie, she said. "Oh, I use ChatGPT all the time. It's my bestie." That's great. Like, if you're comfortable with it and you're proficient with it, that's great. Now, try to make some kind of custom piece of software or engineer your own SaaS, calendaring system for staff or something like that. And you're going to see that you're going to run into stumbling blocks. You're going to be like, oh my God, I either need to spend 20 hours learning how to do this better, or I should just hire somebody. And this is where I'm getting at. Is agency life dead because of the growth of AI? I'm going to tell you, after giving my talk on Friday, it's anything but dead. And there's so much opportunity for agencies in the space right now to pivot and change the way that we are communicating with the outside world. We, as agency owners, a lot of us, we communicate with each other and we get wrapped up in the newest thing. Like, I'm in the web space, so it's what platform are you on? What page builder are you using? We get wrapped up in that. What we need to be wrapped up in is, who is your customer? What is their problem? And what solution are you giving them that allows them to create a margin off of your service? What's the return on investment that you're providing somebody? Are you solving a problem and giving them profitability on the way? If you are, you're in a great position. And it's that way with AI too. I'm going to tell you, I'm in a room, I'm presenting. I started out presenting a little intimidated because it started out with, what new, cool, groovy thing are you going to teach us today? And it devolved into, oh my goodness, I really don't have a clue what I'm doing. Thank God there's an expert in town that can help us. Hey, is it okay if I share this presentation with the rest of my staff? Those were the questions I got after I had finished presenting. Hey, is it okay if I share this workbook with my IT department? Hey, is it okay? We have a marketing department, but I'm not sure what they're really doing. You see, I showed them a couple of tools that were pre-prompted. I said, you have tools like ChatGPT and Grok and Copilot, and those are non-prompted tools. Those are tools where you prompt it and to get a certain result. But what if there were tools out there that were affordable, that were pre-prompted? And I said, I don't know if pre-prompted is a real phrase, but that's what I'm using to describe these tools. And then I went and I showed them 2 or 3 of my tools. And I said, here's a tool that I use. It automatically takes my YouTube videos. It uses a transcript from the YouTube videos. It generates a blog post without it being a transcript. It generates a summary. It gets my name right. It gets my co-host's name right. It agency name right, because in these special directions right here, I tell it these are the words to watch for spelling. And I showed them exactly how I didn't show them exactly how I set it up, but I told them about it. I told them about how it works. Remember, there's only 90 minutes. So I told them how that worked. I said, this is the tool I use. This is how it works. And this is how I get the result in a quick way for my agency that allows me to generate margin or return on investment for what I'm spending on the tool, the time I am saving, and the result that we are getting. And I said, because my original video is part of the post, I'm not getting slammed with using AI content in my website because it's got my original YouTube post in it with me speaking. It's really me, right? So AI or Google or the SEO engines, they recognize that's original content. That's original content. And so that original content is getting posted for me automatically through my AI tool. And then I showed him another pre-prompted AI tool that actually was a lifetime deal. I said, this was a lifetime deal for this much money. And so even if it goes bankrupt in 2 or 3 years, I'm still getting use out of it. I only paid $100 for it. And here are some of the pre-prompted tools that I use this tool for. And I went through its tool menu and I said, these are some of the things that I do with this tool. This particular tool helps you create a business plan. This particular tool helps you create a style guide for your clients. This particular tool helps you with blog posts. This particular tool creates an outline for a YouTube script. And we went through it and they were like, wow, because they didn't have to prompt the whole thing. I am friends. I'd like to say I'm friends. I hope he thinks I'm a friend. Dustin. Dustin owns Magi. I'm a huge proponent of Magi. Remember I mentioned all those unprompted tools? Each of those unprompted tools, if you subscribe to a paid version, is $20, $30, $40 a month, right? And so if you had 5 to 10 of those, you would be at $150 to $350 a month in AI subscriptions. Well, with Magi, I can subscribe to Magi, get access to all of those, and it's $20 a month. So I subscribe to Magi. I know Dustin through another marketing group that I'm in. And so, like I said, I hope he considered us to be friends. Anyway, I talked about Magi to this group and I said, how many of you do something in Grok and then do something in ChatGPT and then do something in Copilot and then do something somewhere else? And then a week later, 2 weeks later, you need to go back and look at those notes or find your chat and you can't remember what channel you looked it up on. And then you spend 15, 20 minutes trying to find it. Or worse, you spend 10 or 12 minutes trying to find it, but then you get distracted because you're in Grok and now you're on X and now you're looking at people's posts, right? And so then you get sucked into your feed and 2 hours goes by. And now you're 2 hours behind on what you were trying to do 2 hours ago because you can't even find the notes you made 2 weeks ago. Now that sounds crazy. And let me check my comments. I want to make sure I'm not missing you. If folks, I see that people are coming. So if you're here live and you want to join the conversation, jump into chat. Let's have a discussion. But anyway, the way I described that sounds crazy. But everyone in the room was like, oh my God, that's happened to me. I said, now imagine you have Magi. You just sign into Magi, you click on chats, and all of your chats, regardless of what channel you built in, all of your chats are in one dashboard. Everything's right there for you. So you get to see all that and you get to interact with all that. And here was my takeaway from giving the talk. So the title of this was, are agencies dying because of the growth of AI? No, absolutely no. I am resolute on this idea. We are not going to die because of the growth of AI. We might die because we don't adopt to AI correctly. We might die because we don't appreciate AI in the perspective or framework that clients want us to. That's where we're going to die. Agencies need to go back to the beginning. The same thing that an agency would discuss with their client on a client's project is the same thing we need to discuss with ourselves. Who are we serving? What are we communicating? And how are we delivering to those people? And I think it's super important. As an agency, chances are you're using AI every day. And this is where I felt like such a hypocrite, because I'm on part of these podcasts. And when I'm on the WP Tonic, the Membership Machine Show, the Agency Action Show, the Mañana No Mas Show, when I am on all of these things, especially with Lifter LMS and people are asking me questions about AI, I typically don't answer in a very positive way. I recognize that. And I tell people all the time, I'm a hypocrite because I use AI almost every day. I use AI almost every stinking day. But I'm not a fan of every Tom, Dick, and Harry willy-nilly just plugging things around with AI to see what happens. Here's an interesting thing I want you to think about. When you see one of these influencers that's peddling some kind of weird YouTube video about, hey, look at this awesome image tool. Look at how easy and natural this looks, making this with AI. And it goes into some image creation thing. And they throw in a prompt and then they go, ooh, that looks really interesting. Ooh, look how cool that is. Ooh. But then go back to what they originally said they were going to do. Did the image that the AI output match what they asked for in the beginning? Chances are it does not. And so the weirdest thing happens with AI. You ask AI, hey, here's a picture of a teddy bear. I want you to put my logo on its belly. Maybe it's just that easy. I would like you to make a realistic picture of my logo, and you upload your logo. Here's a copy of my logo, right? So here's a picture of a teddy bear. Here's a picture of my logo. I would like you to embroider my logo onto the belly of that teddy bear. And what comes up? A dragon with a circle and a Japanese symbol on its belly. And you go, well, I asked for a teddy bear. I asked for an embroidered logo, and I gave you the image of the logo. So why am I getting a dragon with Japanese symbols on it? And so then you say re-render, and then it re-renders a skunk with a triangle on it. And you're like, nope, my logo's round. And then then you say, wrong, my logo's round. Please use the logo that I uploaded originally. And then it goes, okay, I'm so sorry. Let me try this again. And then it gives you like a stuffed kitty cat with a round logo, but it ain't your logo. It altered the logo. And so then you go, right? Now, you could do this for the next 45 minutes to an hour. And you're going to iterate that image, I don't know, 20 times. And each time you're going to try and reprompt it, and you're going to get some other nonsense back. This is where the practical use of AI for business gets completely lost. Focus on the keywords in the phrase. Practical. So practical is a big thing, right? Is this practical? Does this make sense? Is this practical? Is this logical? Would Spock agree? So is it practical, right? And then for business, you spend an hour doinking around with AI trying to make a teddy bear with a logo on it? For what? Like a Christmas presentation, a Christmas sales notification? Here's the deal. You would be much better off to call your agency and say, hey, I need a picture that looks like a teddy bear with my logo on its belly. And I would like if the logo looked like it was embroidered. And the agency is probably going to put a graphic artist on it and have it done in an hour through Photoshop. They're going to bill you for the hour. But how much money would you have made if you were running your own business for that hour and putting out product or services that you created revenue with? That's the idea of the practical use of AI in business. And like I said, go back to the influencer on YouTube. The influencer on YouTube is like, ooh, let's try and make a teddy bear with a logo on it. And then boom, it pops up and it comes up as a dragon with a Japanese symbol on it. And they're going to go, oh, doesn't that look cool? All right, now let's see if we can take the dragon and put it like in the desert. Right? That'd be weird because usually dragons are in mountains. So let's see if they can put the dragon in the desert. And then AI goes, okay, well, let's put some dragon in the desert. And then so a different dragon comes up in the desert. And you're like, so if you really watch what's going on, you're like, I thought we were looking for a teddy bear with a logo. How did we end up with a dragon in the desert? And then the influencer goes, isn't it so cool? This thing can take whatever you put in it and just spit out these awesome images. Okay, but they're not what I asked for. Now, I'm going to take some of this back because this is what I do with every time I talk about AI. Again, I'm going to mention Dustin. Dustin put out an image of himself. Really well done. An AI image of himself in a really cool background, like in the woods or something like that. And the lighting was perfect and the shadows were perfect. And, what do they call composition? The composition was perfect. And then Dustin said in his post, would you like to create an image of yourself like this one? Well, of course I would. Take this original picture, take a picture of yourself, and then put in this prompt. Folks, the practical use of AI for business. This takes us right back to the core of my conversation and why I believe agencies are not going to die because of the growth of AI. You read the post from Dustin. He is brilliant. He knows AI inside and out. It's what he does for a living. He is a professional. I read the post. Take this image in the likeness of, in the spirit of, make it with this composition, with this lighting, with this filter, with this, do this giant post about how to create this image. And then the AI is super constricted to what the prompt articulated. Hopefully I'm making sense here. So instead of going out willy-nilly and coming up with dragons and stuff like that, it says, oh, okay, I'm locked in because this post is super specific in the likeness of, with this lighting, with these trees, with this Now, read that post. No human being would naturally, without their own prompting, be able to tell AI that. Nobody naturally thinks that way. Nobody naturally goes, oh, you know what? I'd really like to see a picture with blah, 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 blah. Nobody thinks that way. And that's why the average person trying to like run a business and then, you know, create productivity through artificial intelligence, they are not experts in that thinking space. It's like learning a foreign language. It's like when I go to Europe and I run into people from Switzerland that speak 6 languages. I think that's amazing. I think that is unbelievable, right? I struggle with the 2 or 3 that I'm fairly familiar with, all right? But obviously, English is my first language. I can go to Europe and run into people where English is their third language and they still speak better than most of the people I know in this country. They're brilliant. Running AI is very similar. It's like it's its own language, and there is a depth. You know, we talk about the conjugations of verbs and stuff like that when we talk about other languages. The conjugation of nouns, like when you think about like male noun, pronoun, female, neutral, all these multiple things, right? AI is like that. It's like that in that you need to understand the nuances of what the language is that's going to create the outputs that you want. Now, basic business owners, do they have the time, the bandwidth, or even the desire to go down that path? There is a reason why agencies exist in the first place, especially in the WordPress space. You know, could someone start their own WordPress website, grab a starter template, and be off and running in a weekend? Maybe, but most business people would take 2 to 3 weeks to get what we would get in an afternoon. Why? Because we're professionals at it. That's like saying a professional mechanic might be able to do the timing gear set on a Jeep Liberty in a day, but it took me 2 weeks of it sitting in my driveway to get that far. It's the same with the websites. It's gonna be the same with AI. As AI continues to evolve and grow at an unbelievable rate, the more that AI grows and gets complicated, the more business owners are going to say, you know what, I can use it to like answer a customer service question. I can use it to like write a product description for me, but I don't want to get involved in some of these other things. I'm gonna defer that to the professionals. And that's where the agency space is still going to reign king. So, are agencies dying because of the growth of AI? I say absolutely not. Absolutely not. In fact, I am projecting that agencies will actually grow through the growth of AI. Agencies will be able to serve more people more quickly, more efficiently, and more deeply because we're going to have a more well-rounded approach to the services that we offer. I hope that you find this somewhat inspiring. If you're a business, like, you know, a butcher, a coffee shop, a bartender, if you're in that space, right? Like you're a business, I want you to feel relief. I want you to feel like, oh my God, thank goodness I don't have to learn all that stuff. I really thought everyone was learning that stuff because I was in the room and I gave the talk and nobody's learning that stuff. Like you assume everybody knows what you don't know about AI. That is not true. Everybody's lost. And all these influencers and everybody jumping on social going, look how easy, fast, and automatic this is. It's just confusing people more. It's just really putting people into a circle. People are running in circles trying to figure this stuff out. And when they get tired of running in the circle, they stop and they look for help. If you're an agency, my inspiration to you is to be that, hold that banner high, right? You are the professional. You are there to help. When they get tired of running in a circle and they look up for help, you need to be the one that's there to help them. And you need to be there to offer your services, to treat people with respect and get to the results. Remember, it's who do you serve? What solutions do you provide for them? And how do you get there sustainably? And that's it. Folks, I know that it's kind of weird for me to go live on a Sunday like this, and I don't know. This will be recorded. Maybe I'll put this out on, schedule it and do it like some kind of a rerun. But it is awesome to come to you. I feel humbled that as many people as do listen to me. And I would love your comments. I would love it if you'd share, like, follow, subscribe, all those things. I'm at like 102 for subscribers. And, you know, the road from 100 to 1,000 is hard. But once you get to 1,000, you can begin to monetize and do some different things. So I look forward to seeing you. And we keep moving forward on our apprenticeship program. So if you're at all interested in how to launch your own successful agency, I encourage you to reach out to me because we are very quickly moving forward on our apprenticeship program and teaching people how to sustainably launch their own successful digital agencies. I'm getting old, so I need a way to pay this forward and get other people involved. I hope you have a good one. Love y'all. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Let's turn on the music so we can fade out with class. Let's do that. Boo doo boo doo boo doo doo. I like that. All right, folks. Have a good one.